What about the jury? Is it there are 3 directors, 1 actress?
Yeah, I think one of the directors he had to cancel. Yeah, so 2 directors and 1 actress.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, a nice bunch of people. Yeah.
Okay. We were singing yesterday. You were singing a Norwegian song. I will not ask you to sing that again, but I think you did quite a good performance. What about it? What do you feel?
Yeah, I didn't know about that tradition. I'm never nervous before stuff like that, but when he told me upstage that I had to sing, I got really nervous. But hopefully it wasn't too bad.
Right. I want to start with one first question, the real one. What is your biggest fear? You are doing horror movies. Well, not only horror movies, but the last one, Dead Snow, was really a zombie movie, an horror movie. What is your biggest fear as a child, maybe right now?
Well, I have many fears.
Well, then let's start with the first one.
Well, I mean, when I was something that still pops up in nightmares, which is amazing because since considering I saw it. Now it is almost 20 years ago since I first saw Twin Peaks. Mm-hmm. But there's a character there called Killer Bob, the demon there. So Twin Peaks really scared me back then, and it still scares me in my nightmares when it comes to entertainment. Other than that, I think I am, like many horror directors, a little bit afraid of the dark, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I also have a big fear of polar bears for some reason. I don't know why.
My next question would be about, I wanted to ask you about your influences. When did you want to start? You studied directing, movie making, but who was your influence? Who did make you want to do it, to study that sort of sector?
I think I have to say, my main influence. Steven Spielberg, of course, which a lot of filmmakers has his earliest movies, and not the only one, not the one he directed, but the one he produced as well. The Goonies, Poltergeist, all those movies I saw growing up and made a big impact on me. And as I started to get more and more interested in film, people such as Sam Raimi and Peter Jackson, especially in the horror genre, who were guys who managed to combine humor with horror, which I always loved. So those 2 guys, when it comes to horror, are my 2 big influences. And I loved, Peter Jackson's early stuff, Brain Dead and Bad Taste, and of course the Evil Dead movies.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson. Tonight there will be one of the actors of Peter Jackson. And you are with in the jury. You are with Dee Wallace, who played with for Peter Jackson for The Frighteners, and with Steven Spielberg in E.T.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to be with such huge people?
Yeah, that's weird, and she's a really nice, really nice person, but I haven't. I'm going to wait for the best moment to start asking her questions about Spielberg and Jackson. I have to know, of course, but I haven't gotten a chance to just ask her a bunch of questions that I have for her. But it's of course, it's big.
Yes. And can we have some of the questions? Would you be so kind as to give us some of the questions you would like to ask to Dee Wallace? If it's possible. If it's not possible, we will wait. We will let you ask these questions later.
Well, there's a lot of questions, but one question I will ask her, which I always ask people, actors and actresses, when I meet them, if they work with, one of the big, any director who I admire, I just wonder how they work and how they compare to each other, and most of all, why they loved working with them, because I think, I like to pick up on those things and hear what actors and actresses, like and dislike, and which can help me become a better director.
Mm-hmm. You released your second movie, yes, and you are about to shoot another movie with Hansel and Gretel. Could you tell us a few words about it?
Yes, it's basically an idea I had for a long time. It's Hansel and Gretel from a famous fairy tale, and we meet them 15 years later when they're grown up to be witch hunters, bounty hunters. So it's a action adventure movie. It's R-rated. It's going to be a lot of blood and guts, but also a lot of humor as well. So No, we're finishing up the script phase of it now, and I'm really happy with the script so far, and I think we can have a really cool cast as Hans and Gretel. No, it's my first American film, and so far it's been a really good experience for me. Yeah.
So right now it's pre-production. And things seem to evolve quite well. What you want to do will be possible, or are there some constraints? As it will be an American movie, I guess. At least produced by American investors.
Well, I mean that's a good question, and I was worried about that before I went there, but luckily I have producers. I got a deal with a production company first, which is Will Ferrell and Adam McKay's company, and they loved my idea from day one, and they want to make it the way I want to. So we went together to the studio and we pitched it together, and yeah, I was kind of worried when I handed in the script the first time because maybe they would say cut down on the violence, cut down on this, cut down, but they didn't say anything at all. They knew what we were doing, and they agree that the movie should be the way that we want it to. But of course, it's not gonna. When it's an R-rated action adventure movie, it's not going to be $100 million budget. It's going to be a little smaller, but I like that. That gives us a lot of freedom.
You might want to ask one of your fellow your fellow members of the jury how they dealt with the production in the US. I'm thinking to Takashi Shimizu. He was he was working with Sam Raimi. He was talking about Sam Raimi before. Maybe he will be able to tell you what about the constraints in production. I don't know if he had many constraints, if he could do his remake like he wanted to. That could be a good question for him, maybe. And Sam Raimi, maybe ask him about his work, Sam Raimi's work.
I saw The Grudge. I was terrified like everybody else. And actually, the Grudge is kind of... I haven't told him that yet, but one of my first short movies, when it screened in my hometown, my short movie was the movie, the start of the show. It's a kind of a... I don't know what you call it... Yeah, just like a little short before the main event, and that was my movie before The Grudge. That was one of the first times I screened my movie for a big audience. So yeah, but I've been meaning to ask him about his Hollywood experience, and I think he's going to make another one soon in America as well. So he'll probably have a few hints and tips from me.
I might be mistaken, but I think Dead Snow was here last year at the bifff. But you were not there. Apparently it was your first time in Brussels. Did you have some good comments after the coming of your movie in Brussels? Did you have some feedback from it?
Yeah, when we did have the press conference the other day, and a lot of people came up to me who were here last year, and they said they loved Dead Snow. So that was really nice to hear. And Christoph, the guy who runs the festival, he said it was an amazing atmosphere here last year when it screened. So I'm glad. It's Dead Snow is a kind of a film you should see with a lot of people, and the festival crowd is amazing. And I from what I heard, it was an amazing atmosphere. Yeah.
You are talking about that atmosphere. What about the movies you've seen so far? It seems not to be a problem for you to watch movies in such an atmosphere, which is so particular here at the bifff. But what about the movies you've seen so far? I know you cannot talk about it really in detail, but maybe you can say a few things for us.
So far, I've seen 4 movies so far, and I enjoyed all of them, and it's the fun. It's really nice that they're really different. They're not the same. They don't resemble each other at all. So it's been 4 very different movie experiences for me so far, and that's good. I thought I was, when I first read about the festival, I thought it was, only horror movies, but of course it's a lot more than that. So nice. Yeah,
fantasy and thriller also. You were talking also a bit about the humor and horror in movies. You shot Dead Snow, which is a Nazi zombie movie. What do you think about the border, the frontier between horror and humor? Is it possible to shoot? Well, first of all, I will ask you this question, and then we will maybe develop it a bit.
Yeah, it's a tough balance, I think, and that's one of the things we talked a lot about while shooting also, and while writing the script. That we didn't want it to tip too much over into comedy. We didn't want it to be a spoof. We wanted it to be a horror first and a splatter, and then with some a lot of black comedy in it. but we never wanted it to be a comedy first. We always wanted to feel, real in a way. But like I said, I think the movie experience is much more complete if you can make people afraid and disgusted and make them laugh at the same time. And but it's like you said, it's a tricky balance, and I think a lot of movies tend to tip over too much one way or another, and hopefully we got the balance right on Dead Snow.
So you might seem to think that horror only for zombie movies, it might not be possible to without a bit of humor, a hint of humor. It might be too difficult to make it. Would you like to do trasher movies without any sort of humor, any kind of humor?
Maybe, but the stuff that I write myself and so far has only been with humor in it. I can't seem to hide it if I try. It seemed to pop up. But maybe in the future, I even said that I don't think I'm going to make a drama in 10 years out of because I have to get all the other stuff out of my system first.
Yeah, so your movie seem to be quite in the rough, not polished, if you see what I mean. Is it your intention, or is it due to a lack of money in the production process? Was it, a lack of money in the production process? Right now you will be shooting in the US, so it might be a bit different, but before, what about it?
I think it's a combination. We wanted it to feel a little rough, but of course there's, like you said, we had a really limited budget, and we also shot on location up in the mountains, up in north of Norway, which is really hard production-wise. We had to go on snowmobiles to set every day. So, for example, we only had a crane for 2 days. We had a dolly for 4 days. So we didn't have the equipment that a lot of movie makers take for granted. So that's why there's a lot of on-shoulder and handheld and stuff like that, and that's why it feels rough. But I think that was in the end a positive thing for Dead Snow. That like you said, it feels rough. It doesn't feel polished, and I think that helped.
And do you agree if I say that your movie Dead Snow? I'm always talking about Dead Snow. Sorry about that. But it's just such a huge movie, according to us and according to many people. Do you agree if I say that Dead Snow is at the frontier, at the border between Shaun of the Dead and The Night of the Living Dead?
Those are big movies, but yeah, that would be if people say that, I'm honored. I love Shaun of the Dead, and I love all the Living Dead movies, and if somebody puts mine into that, that's an honor, and hopefully it looks like we're going to make a sequel to it, and hopefully we can make it even better.
So maybe a trilogy, a quadrilogy, a prequel. What about it?
I have plans for a sequel, and it's going to be a little bigger than the last one. We're going to shoot it probably in 3D, and we're going to have lots more zombies, and it's a big plot compared to number one, and hopefully that could be my Evil Dead 2, like Sam Raimi, made a bigger and better one for his second.
Concerning identity now and Scandinavia, do you think that Scandinavia as a particular, is there a national identity in your movies, a Norwegian identity, and in a larger sense, is there something peculiar about Scandinavia in general, Scandinavian movies and horror movies maybe?
Maybe. Norwegian horror movies has really started popping up the last 5-10 years, 5-6 years maybe. So before Dead Snow, they were all very serious with no humor. But the thing that goes through all the movies is nature and how we use nature. And because for our, Norwegians, nature is a big part of our world, and that's why I wanted to do it up in the mountains where I grew up. Where I go to drive snowmobile and to relax. Because I knew how beautiful it was, but also how dangerous and horrible it can be up there as well. And I think Norwegian horror movies has been really good using the nature in the movies.
What about actors now? You are directors with Patrice Lecomte said that, the French director, said that directors should, nobody should love their actors. I think it might be the same for you, but after that question, the second one maybe, which actors would you dream to direct, and which actors will you, if we can know it right now, if you can reveal that right now, will you direct in your next movie with the American money?
We haven't gotten to that. We talked about some names, but we haven't really talked to anybody specific yet. But dream actors. I mean, there's a lot of, people that I love growing up. One that I'm probably never going to be able to direct, but since he's retired now, but I really have I always loved Sean Connery for some reason. I think he's amazing. But of course, the obvious ones like Robert De Niro and those guys, that you just admire insanely. And I also have a guy called Ted Levine, which I love. He doesn't do much work, but he was the Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs movie. The serial killer there. He's an amazing actor, so I'm going to try to work with him one day.
Robert De Niro, sorry. What about Pacino? Maybe you will be the first, the third one to reunite these two guys in front of the camera after Eat and one movie they did afterwards, which was maybe not such a big success. So you might want to reunite them.
Yeah, those two, and we can lure Sean Connery out of retirement. That would be awesome. Have those three together. No, for now it's only a dream, like you said. But hopefully we can get a really cool cast for the Hans von Gretel movie as well. And we hope to have a couple of big names in there as well. So who knows?
If you keep on succeeding, and I guess it will be the case because you are doing movies you have more money. People are trusting you and investing more money in your movies, in your next movie at least. So what would be your dream movie? It was a question at bifff, but I'd like you to tell us what would be your dream movie. If you had as much money as you want and the actors you want, maybe Sean Connery if he comes back in front of your camera.
If Steven Spielberg called me and asked me to do Indiana Jones 5, that would be a dream movie. But I love science fiction, and my dream is to make Scandinavia's first big science fiction movie as well. We never made a big science fiction movie in Scandinavia, whole Scandinavia. So that's a dream I have, and I hope I can fulfill one day. So I'm a big sci-fi lover.
A few words maybe about that future movie. If you were able to do it for us, the first words about that future Scandinavian movie with science fiction.
Really, it's just right now. It's just been we just said we want to do a science fiction movie, but we haven't really. We have some rough ideas, but nothing to speak about really. It's probably a few years in the future.
I imagine you've been acting a bit before, as you've made a few movies, short films. Before your feature films, your feature films. So, would you like to act yourself, or was it just experiences in the past?
It's fun acting. It is, and I was an actor in a movie called Tomme Tanner. It was a big movie in Norway last summer, and that was my first only acting job ever. That was fun. But I feel better behind the camera. I do, but of course it's fun to be in front and don't have any responsibility of the final product. Just do your little part, because I am a zombie in Dead Snow as well. So I have a tendency to go in front of the camera sometimes. But I feel most at home behind it.
Are you thinking to afterwards other movies, dramas? You were saying that dramas are maybe not your cup of tea. But would you like to do comedy movies, pure comedy movies, movies that are very different from the movies you are shooting right now, from that genre, other genres, or is it not your will, your desire?
I think it's hard, to say now, but I would guess, as I grow older and get, as many directors do, they change, hopefully if everything's, if they have a good career, they develop. A guy rarely makes the same kind of movie his whole career. Sometimes, of course, but I hope to do other genres as well. I don't see myself as a purely horror director. Maybe, but like I said, I don't think I have it in me just yet to make a serious drama piece. But maybe in 10 years when I grow up.
Like directors, these are big names, but like Steven Spielberg, David Cronenberg, who managed to do very different to abord different genres of movies. What about these names? I guess it's big names, but are there other people you were talking about? The Robert De Niro, Sean Connery, Sam Raimi. Are there other people you would like to mention? People who influence you, other people we've not been talking about right now, actors?
I mean, like I'm a big movie nerd, so of course there's a lot of people. Growing up, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies was a big, favorite of mine when I was in my, 14, 15 years. And I'm really, nervous to see what they're going to be released in 2 weeks, a new one. So it's going to be interesting. Directors, like Peter Jackson, of course, also, who started up with zombie movies and ended up directing Lord of the Rings. Those kind of careers, is a really, it inspires you.
Which are the nicest encounters you did thanks to festivals? The people you met, the nicest ones, the ones you will remember forever, thanks to your movies, thanks to festivals, thanks to what you've been doing up to now?
Talking about my experiences on festivals and stuff like that. I mean, I haven't really been to that many yet. I tend to send the actors, but of course. Sundance was a huge experience when we screened in Sundance. The midnight screening, that was an amazing experience. And actually, before the movie, it was even a fight outside the cinema. People getting in, there was blood everywhere. So it kind of matched our movie. That sticks out. I mean, I wish I was here last year when I screened here, but. Yesterday, singing on stage was a first as well for me on Brussels Film Festival. I never thought I would sing on stage, so that was a new one for me.
Yes, quite a tradition here in Brussels at bifff. I had another question right now, I forgot about it. I wanted to ask you, maybe what you would say to people who want to direct movies, to be future directors. Any piece of advice you would like to give them?
Yes, I mean, I think everything has been said before, but for me, when I went to film school even and places like that, when 90% of the films at film school are drama pieces, serious drama pieces. And I was one of the 10, who made made an entertaining movie out of the 5 minutes that we were given. So I mean, I would say, even though you might get some, in class, people may look down on you maybe a little bit because you like American movies, you like entertaining movies, but in the end, I think those are the ones who has the biggest shot of getting somewhere. That's my experience, at least. Don't be afraid to be commercial in film school. That would be my advice.
Could you tell us a few things about Norway in order to attract us, to make us want to go to your country? A few words maybe about your country.
Well, I'm from the top all the way up north of Norway, which is very different from the southern Norway. So I would say if one were to come to Norway, you have to go to the north in the summer and experience, the midnight sun from late May to late July. The sun never sets, which is kind of fascinating for people who hasn't experienced that. And it's beautiful there in the winter as well. In March, April particularly, we have a lot of sun and a lot of snow, and you can go snowmobiling and skiing and all that stuff. So it's a unique place, I would say, and don't go to the south, go to the north.
Okay, but still go to Norway.
Yeah.
Maybe the last thing I will ask you, could you say a few words to the readers of our newspaper, which is called Ardennes Web? It's in the south of Belgium, a region in the south of Belgium. It's also on the internet, Ardennes Web. A few words for the readers, maybe in Norwegian, and afterwards the translation in English, please.
Well, I can just learn to introduce yourself. If you come to Norway, then you say, "Hei, mitt navn Tommy." And that means, "Hi, my name is Tommy."
It was very, very nice to meet you, Tommy, Mr. Wirkola. Thank you very much for being with us today, and have a nice festival. I hope you will do a great job as a jury. I mean, the jury make good decisions, but I'm sure you will do that. Have a nice stay in Brussels.
Thank you very much.